Well, good evening, YouTube. Coming to you late tonight. It's almost my bedtime. 6:43 in the evening. I just came down from the pond and it's doing well. It's nearly half full already. I was really surprised. The last the last half will take longer. It's the bigger portion of the pond. Um, yeah, there's the small half up top that's high, and when that one fills, it overflows and goes down into the, I don't want to say bigger one, but deeper pond. It has a lot more water capacity. So, but we've had rain since yesterday, and today basically has been nonstop since lunchtime or so. So it's a good heavy steady rain. It's not a drizzle or anything. It's it's just laying on us. For us, this is all weather from Helene, the hurricane, and it's supposed to make landfall about an hour and a half or so, right around the city of Tallahassee in Florida on the coast there. At least that's sort of the reports I had seen last. I know it's been moving a little bit, but we're getting outer band weather from that thing already. It's Yesterday's weather was rainy, but my understanding was it was just regular thunder showers and stuff. Whereas this is just outer band rain being pushed up from the hurricane. So we'll get another day tomorrow of it, and depending on where it goes, if it goes west, if it goes up and hooks west, um, that'll be the worst case scenario for us because it'll put us on the northeastern side of it, and that's where all the weather and wind is at right now. If it goes straight up and goes right over the top of us, might not be a bad scenario either. Um, we would have less rain and probably less winds. And then if it cuts and goes east is the best case scenario for us because the western side of the storm is so much smaller. Um, it could hook east and miss us completely. So I don't want to see people's property damaged or lives taken or anything like that, but I do want to fill our pond. And that it hasn't been full since spring. So it would be great to see it um, at capacity and just see what capacity is now that we have added onto it. I imagine with the drain pipe, it it'll probably keep up, and I might not see the totality of its height until I raise that drain pipe. But I could always stick something in there, a ball or something, and plug the hole and just see if it goes, how high it goes. I do believe it's still going to want to go over the berm in a couple spots, but um, yet to be seen. We'll just have to wait and see. So the pond is really it doesn't look like much, um, but for the animals around here, it's one of the only oasis. It's we see all kinds of deer, turkey. There's been raccoons and possums and foxes back there, turtles and snakes, um, all kinds of waterfowl that come through. There's an egret, there's a crane, all the birds of the forest at some point during the day are perched in these branches as they get drinks and stuff like that and hunt the mosquitoes and the dragonflies and I mean, it does so much, and it it's sad when I see it dry up, because I know those animals, even though we still see them down there, just a couple weeks ago, the crane was down there for about a week every day. Um, taking that last little bit of water that's there, and probably doing a little hunting for frogs and things like that. So, and you know, um, we are a rural area, and we have a mix of a rural and suburban type fire department. And I don't even know where the hydrant is on this road. I don't. We might not have a hydrant right on this road. Come to think about it, I think it's out on the main road across the street. So that's a great example. We have water right in our backyard. If they needed quick water, they could set up a dump tank 10 feet away and draft right into that dump tank and pump hoses right. Say my barn was on fire or something like that. That would be a great situation if they needed water or shuttled in or something. I don't know. I imagine they would just lay a line, but the options there, and for me, it is about the wildlife. We're not like we're not the type of people that want to see infrastructure projects shut down because of a pink-toed frog that happens to live there or something like that. You know, but with our property, we go to not great lengths. We go to lengths for the wildlife. We leave the one pasture unmowed all summer long, just so the animals can play in there and eat in there and nap in there and have all the prey um, that comes out of there for the hawks and stuff. Even my cat hunts out in those fields, hunts rabbits and hunts um, field mice and things like that. So, and then we have three if you count the pond area, wooded pastures. They were formerly horse pasture that they um, let overgrow, but they kept the fencing there. So we're taking down just about all interior fencing as well. It doesn't work for us. It's horse fencing, so it's like 4 strands, and it was put up. Looks like it was put up piecemeal, kind of like use a couple old T-posts, use a couple new ones, use a bent one, use a straight one, use two on that one because that one's leaning. Just stuff like that. So we want to get the interior fences down. We don't use them, and then I can maintain that gap, that wilderness line, if you will. I can maintain it a little better. I'll be able to mow right up to it, and so the pond is important to us. It's important for us to have it full. Um, there's no recreation if there's no fishing or anything like that, but the other thing was the goat hotspot. It's really I don't want to say it's exceeded my expectations. It's doing what I expected it to do, which is great. Um, there's a bit more work than we had in the barn, and I guess I'll just walk you through what I do every morning, and I'll give you a morning where I'm moving everything. So I would go up before 9 o'clock when the automatic opener opens up, and I have it so late to give me time to do these things in the morning before the chickens come out. Um, so I go up there. I break down the fencing first, and I usually try to leave one wall up and move three walls. It's not. I'm not always square shaped. Sometimes I'm kind of, you know, maybe like a pentagon shape, but whatever. I try to leave a good section in place, so I only got to move 3/4 of the fencing, and that's the hardest part. And it'll go away with this rain. It was very hard to put those in the dry ground. If you have clay soil that's very dry and packed, it's just very hard to get them in. I bent a couple, but with the rain, it's already gotten easier. So I break down the fence, I move three walls, and then I take the goat hotspot. I take it over to the other edge of the pasture where we have a water hose, and I put fresh water in, and then I wheel it back into the new enclosure, um, close everything up, go get the goats, bring the goats back out, open it up, put them in, close it up, and I'm done. That process takes me about a half hour. Um, it's really not bad. Like I said, the hardest part for me was putting those stakes in the ground. At first, I was trying to do it in my Crocs, which is a bad move because you got no ankle, no arch support or anything to stand on the pegs with, and the stakes. I don't know why I said pegs. So I was wearing my rubber boots, and those were better. But it gets to the point where I'm 210 pounds, and I was standing on top of the stake to drive it in, and it wasn't going in. That's why I'm thankful. Another reason why I'm thankful for the rain. But that's the hardest part of it. Um, the goats are content in there. The chickens are content in there. They don't act like they're too crowded or anything. It's 50 by 50, so I think that's 2,500 square feet. I think, but yeah, it's working out really well. The chickens started laying eggs, and they were laying them kind of willy nilly. And then the other day they started laying them in the basket. So it just takes a little bit of time. They lay them in the hay, and you got to go grab them out of the hay and put them in the laying basket. And after a few days, they just naturally want to lay wherever the other eggs are. Even though they've been moved, they just still know that they're their eggs. And they'll do it on other chickens' eggs too. If there's another clutch of eggs there, they'll be like, "Oh, this is where we're laying eggs." Okay, and they'll plop right on top of them and lay them. They don't care, but they love. It seems they love just loose hay. We put loose hay in the baskets to make a little nest for them. But they still will climb up in the front. So we'll see if our little training program works or not. It appears to have worked. We'll just see how long it keeps going. But really, I just wanted to show you guys the pond. I mean, you've seen it the last few days when I had those videos up and how dry it was and how low it is. And now it's tomorrow. I guarantee I get up in the morning, it'll be full. I guarantee it. I was looking at the water coming out of the pasture, and it's just a steady flow. Um, and then over on the other side of the pond, we actually have field drainage that drains excess water, not wastewater, just rainwater, out to the pond. So as the field gets saturated, more and more water is just going to run out. Plus, you have the rain that's falling right there in the immediate area that's filling it as well. So it's gonna be full for sure. I'm pretty excited. The little things in life I probably won't sleep. But all right, folks. I hope you all have a great evening, and we'll talk to you next time. So this is what we got so far. You, you can see how much landmass is starting to take over. This is all going to be the new part of the pond eventually. Right now it'll act as a floodplain, and it'll just be for when the pond's real high. But so the dam itself looks like it's got about another maybe 1.5 feet of clearance, but that would bring the water way up pretty high. I'll show you. So this is where I was digging. I would drive down in and dig every time, and you can see how flooded the whole area is, and that's what I've been going for. That's why I extended that wall. If right there is where the wall used to end, so if it got this high ever, it would just overflow that and go around. But now it can't, so it should get much deeper down here. Take a walk over here real fast. So go here for a second. This is that little canal that I drove down and dug out. It's obviously completely full and overflowing. Here's the deep end of this pond. And this one full, which is awesome. This is the original part of the pond, so I love when it's full. You can see how much clearer the water is on this side versus, well, maybe not. But the water tends to be clearer on this side because the pond's less disturbed. But it looks really good. It's going to be able to hold all this water and then some. I'll take you a walk around the other side and you can see where the drain is. So once I establish where a good height is, I'll come back and I'll start digging all this out probably next summer. Because as it is now, it would never hold water. This part right here, it's just flat ground, really. There's another angle. You can see all that muddy water right there. That's where the old dam wall ended. This is where I was working the other day, and there's the drain that I was talking about. So at this pace, it about matches the rate at which the water's coming in. It's really not raining hard right now. All right.